again. Yes, again. Double shift Wednesday, it looks like. Everyone else has flaked out. Right, finale finally come and gone as we stew over the tea leaves of the season, catching up on the streams on Sensefear, on ratings impacting, on Disney negotiations, on RTD appropriating all for himself, on the top 10 mistakes made by the BBC and RTD this season. That one was at midday today. Have a look. On our review shows from Sunday, with our parody of Empire of Death from the Hoopettes, the Quagmire of Death. It's now time for nostalgia and feel some love for Doctor Who. So tonight we have old Sixie and Mark of the Rani in Time Flash, 3 Time Lords for the price of 1, and recall the 9th Doctor era, his best, his worst, and all the wonders of a Doctor Who relaunch that worked in 2005. What a contrast to now. I need my panel. I certainly do need my panel. I'm exhausted. Hello, Gary. How are you?
Hello, sir. Nice to see you.
Yeah, well, we're still going. And obviously, I always start with a shot. Now, I thought you might like this one because it's linked with Sutek. Here we go. Good old Happiness Patrol. There he is. He's been painted.
Did they turn him? Did they turn him purple? Well, I guess what? So he has a lot of red paint on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I do like this. I do like this shot. I do like this camera position very much.
I see what you mean. So yeah, I love. Don't you just love? There's millions of memes going out there. I absolutely the fun of it, the abuse RTD's ideas are getting. I just love it.
Well, and I don't know whether to resent RTD for offloading such a bad episode or to thank him for giving us such great stuff to mock.
Yeah. Mockery and humor is all we've got left, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, it's like this.
Well, it's not mockery and humor is not a consolation prize. Mockery and humor can actually kind of give you the final victory, I think.
True. Very true. Let's bring on Rachel. And when I bring on Rachel, I'll ask her about this. Did you see this about Eve Miles?
I haven't read the article yet, but I did see the headline. Yeah. What's going on there then?
Oh, so he's obviously got ideas. It can't be just for a cameo, can it?
You mean in for a new Torchwood?
I think for a spin-off, or maybe there's a space at Unit. As you know, that they were short-staffed.
You know, for a man that doesn't like focusing on the past,
I know it's just like
on it.
This is the first I didn't know about this till 2 seconds ago, and my first thought is Russell. Every single thing you're doing is reinforcing the idea that you have nothing new to bring. All you can do is panic and run back to what worked before. It's like he's got nothing new at all.
Nope, nothing.
Yep. Where's the new ideas? He's come back. He's sitting on it. Like I have to say, the analogy just works every time. He's sitting on the franchise like Sutek on the TARDIS. So I'm hoping to cheer us up for a few seconds before we get going with Mark of the Rani, everybody. Well, what do you think? I mean, there's another outfit. We saw it in the finale. I mean, which does this work? Is this Doctor Who? Is this what he wants?
Fine. This is fine. I'd actually rather see him than in his costume that we first saw him in, though. I think that's the best one that we've had so far.
I mean, we're going to be talking about Chris Eccleston later. He had a leather jacket, so I suppose, yeah.
I have 2 thoughts when I see this cover. My 2 instant reactions is one is props to the imaginative cover design, which I'm sure took all of about 8 seconds. And second, that's the exact same expression that I had when I was watching the finale.
I know. Are we ever going to rewatch any of these episodes? God help us. Now, in the thread, we're going to come and see you soon. I see.
Well, somebody's watched the finale twice already. I think based on what somebody said on their.
Yes.
Oh, me. Yeah.
Yes.
I've actually seen it 3 times, and I the therapy.
I'm a proud one.
So, did you see this a few weeks ago?
It looks like a mouse mat.
Yeah.
Yes. It also looks like I'm at Clark's shoes, and that's the kind of the sole of the shoe. It just,
That looks like, the underside of a tennis shoe.
yeah. And to be honest, these little gadgets. I mean, he tested the blood out the other day for the DNA, didn't he? And oh, for God's sake, I that's not a sonic screwdriver. That's good. You know what's that's going to be? That's going to be get out of every situation ever gadget, because you press the pink, then this happens, and it can open doors. It can tell you the time. It can do. I mean, it's an iPhone.
How much does
Not
that? How
me.
much does that cost? Oh, there you go. $50. Wow.
Wow.
I would expected that to be more, but okay.
Well, it might be cheap tat. You never know. So I just thought, well, I'll catch up. But I thought I'll cheer us up. Doctors in Daleks. There you go. Let's just get back to the fun of it. Oh, look at William Hartnell's face. David Tennant, before I used to do press conferences and talk about various things. When we really liked him, he was dead trendy. He'd just done Casanova. He was rocking and rolling, wasn't he, Rachel?
Oh,
David
he was.
Tennant.
Yeah. He was doing real good, and well, I won't say what I was thinking of the other day, but yeah, when he was there as a doctor, he was great. He's good in Good Omens as well. Brilliant. And he's done
before he became mind controlled by Sutek.
Yeah. What about this one then? This takes you back. This is in the rehearsal room for Robot.
I've not seen that.
Yeah, Nicholas Courtney and Tom Baker, of course. I think, is that Barry Letts in the background or somebody? No.
No, that's the guy who played the professor.
Yes, Kettlewell.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a moment then. Yes, of course it is. So, I know. And I tell you what, I needed these photographs to go and relax.
I've never seen this photo ever.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
Oh, look, I don't know. The start of the longest Doctor Who reign, the start of a very exciting era. And actually, sadly, it's the end of Nicholas Courtney's era, really.
Yeah, that's officially, well, not officially, but that was his last episode as like a full-time companion, wasn't it?
No, Zygons was.
Oh, no, Zygons was, really? Oh, okay. I can't remember now.
And then to cheer us up still, we've got our favorite three. They're like, to me, they remind me I could get loads of photographs of these three, the five-ish doctors, so to speak. They do look as though they really get on. They look as though they could share a house as uni housemates. Do you know what I mean? I get that vibe.
With all of us, I was going to say they're all of a similar age, but are they? I suppose.
Was that taken around the time of the Five-ish Doctors? I thought that was like Sirens of Time era.
Yeah, I was going to say this would be Big Finish, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that they're a lot earlier. And just to finish off our kind of therapy, there we go.
Oh, perfect.
That's brilliant.
Perfect.
This is what I mean. I'd love to see Shooty, Jodie, and all these in the same room, but it feels still a little bit like Classic and You, who are slightly, split.
Well, I was thinking about this yesterday. I put the McGann TV movie. I consider that part of the Classic era.
I do too.
Yeah. It's I know what you mean. I think you've got to bank it somewhere, and that's where it seems to go, because it links so closely to McCoy.
Yeah.
Well, and it kind of makes sense. And sort of Big Finish took that and ran with it as well, didn't they? So because they introduced him pretty early on as well. So I think it's nice, that photo.
Someday I want to move over to the alternate universe where McGann had 7 seasons as the Doctor on television.
And it just seems crazy that they just never seem to want to, I mean, RTD could have brought McGann back for 2005.
He could have. And then when he didn't do that, he could have been brought back as the War Doctor for the 60th?
Yeah.
50th.
50th. Oh my God. Sorry, I went to work today. I'm back at work. So it's kind of made my brain go, oh my.
Well, I'll just say quickly hello. We're about to start our time flash, but I'll just say hi to you all. C's going to be in your comfy air-conned bedroom tonight, just finishing off Scooby-Doo snack. You seem to be inviting me to show that meme again, don't you? That's what I mean. There we go.
There you go. Snootex snack.
Rock do.
Rutro raggy.
I do like that. Lovely ideas. Hello, Archibald Lazarus. Hello, Peter Harrington. Hello. Let's have a look. We've said hello to C. Got TARDIS Spidey. He was going to try and come on, but his tech's not too hot tonight. And yet he's just done his own stream on Mark of the Rani. So I said, get on, get on. Hello, Melanie Weston Investigates. Everybody getting ready for Mark of the Rani. Good to see you. Mad McCam. Is that, yeah, Mad McCam? Right. Well,
that's an anagram for something, I'm sure.
It probably is. And the talents of Wayne Cheyenne, Barry's in, John Sweeney. Hello. Right, let's get going. I've promised you time flash. We need a time flash.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it.
Oh, 1985. And this was actually, we at the end of one of our streams, I said to Rachel, go on, you pick one from Sixie. So here we go. Mark of the Rani.
Boom.
Right, we've set the firing pistol off. Here we go then. Just a few moments just to kind of remind us of the era and the vibe then. So, you know, sometimes I love these covers just so you get the vibe. You can see the Rani TARDIS there. You get to see the lovely outside broadcasting work. And of course, we're going back to February 85, which always surprises me. You've got a lovely synopsis then of where we go. And, you know, we had Regency before. We did Regency, not in Rogue. We did Regency with Perry wearing that. I mean, it's very kind of that period, isn't it? I can see with the skirt and that. So we are in Industrial Revolution times, Luddites, and 3 Time Lords, and the introduction of a brand new one. And there they, oh, look at this. And there were all 3 of them were on the top of their game. And I know we'll talk about it in a moment. We've got Jonathan Gibbs did that lovely music to set the world building kind of industrial vibe. Sarah Hellens, the director. We only had a woman director again. I think I'm going to show you in Blink. We had to wait a long time for another female director. And we had some great cast members. So if I just remind you of some of the kind of notes on this one. It was going to be called Too Clever by Far and Enter the Rani. This obviously used the Iron Bridge Gorge Museum. And yes, as I said, Blink was the next time we had a female director with Hetty MacDonald in 2007. So women only had to wait another 22 years. I know there was a wilderness years period. Eric Saywood found the script workmanlike, didn't like Pip and Jane Baker. They took the blame for the tree scene, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Colin Baker did his own stunts. We know the bit especially. The Rani's experimentation with the sleep centers came from Pip and Jane Baker reading The New Scientist, and there was an article in there. And during the scene where the doctor makes his face dirty, he unknowingly smeared himself in dog excrement. There you go.
They made him wait.
The things you do as an actor. And the ratings there, if you know, the ratings, part 1, 6.3, part 2, 7.3.
Amazing.
It built. There you go. And just to kind of, now, you might wonder where we're going here. I have a diary of my time when I knew I was watching Doctor Who and I was having a life. So if I just show everybody this, and I'll go on the big screen, so to speak. So look at this. I can tell you how I felt about Mark of the Rani because it says it here. I obviously had a bad day at the hotel because I was a wine waiter. There was look at that. There was an arrogant bride. I was doing a wedding. I should have tripped and dropped all the red wine down her lovely white dress. Says me, and see how she liked that. I don't think she gave me tips.
Wow.
I'm a nasty piece of work. Give me subs now, or you're gonna get it right. So, so once the pig. Listen, look at the language. Once I know. The thing is,
when you were keeping this diary, did you ever actually talk about what you thought of the episode, or did you more talk about kind of what you were doing right before you watched it?
That's what I mean. And then I come into once I rushed home, thanks to Dad, to see Doctor Who in time. It was great, and I consider Mark of the Rani to be the best so far. And then I went back to face the music with that horrible couple. And then when it was part 2, I bought a whole load of stuff. Hey, get this. You go into town on Saturday. I bought the Doctor Who book, Planet of Fire, a record, Doctor Who the Music 2.
Oh, I had that.
Oh, I got Dad's socks from Marks and Spencer's for his birthday. Very important. And then I got home for Mark of the Rani Part 2. It was much improved, and I really enjoyed it. The best so far. So I was won over. Now, if you do you want context? This was me when I was a wine waiter during this period. This was my leavers night. Yeah, we did wear more than that, but I was leaving, so they stripped me and put me in a kind of a bottle bath of ice cubes. So that's moi saying goodbye after that pig of a bride. No, yeah. And so there you go. When wife fronts were in, I don't think they were in really, were they? But there you go. There's moi. And because we're going to be talking about Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant in Mark of the Rani, me and Jamie last year helped out behind the scenes at a convention in Blackpool. And there's me looking after the money for Colin Baker. And he's lovely.
Oh, that's great.
He's lovely to spend a day with. We were behind the scenes and looked after him. And he's a good bloke, an absolute good bloke. So there's me,
That's
Jamie,
great.
and Colin. Absolutely. And of course, I think that you can see the very big poster there, the big coloured one, which I think, it's by Jamie. He signed that for us for free.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, just
is that the regenerate? I can't quite see it. Is it the regenerate? No, it's got
Power of the. Oh, you mean the one he gave us?
Yeah.
Oh, it seems to have his whole era on. It looks like to me. I feel as though.
Okay.
I'll get it out. I'll have a look. And,
well, there's the characters on the left of that pinkish picture are from Twin Dilemma.
Right.
I can't quite see it very well.
That whole poster looks to be kind of Twin Dilemma-ish.
Yeah, I'll have a look at it.
Okay.
I mean, it was just nice of him to do this.
Yeah.
It's great.
I loved it because in between each autograph, we were chatting away and he told me stuff about Jenna Coleman. He told me loads of stuff. So anyway, let's get going. I'm going to shut my mouth.
I wanted to say, Brendan, also in those wedding pictures, I thought you were doing a pretty good impersonation of the 15th Doctor in those, without the pants and everything. So there you go, right there. There's your 15th Doctor.
There you go.
You didn't know it at the time, but
this is where we were heading.
That's right.
So, go on, Rachel. You picked it. Where would you like to start with Mark of the Rani?
Oh my gosh. I will start with this. It was so good to get back to an actual alien. How good did that feel? Oh my gosh. I was so pleased. And Colin's very clearly an alien doctor. I mean, they all have that different traits, but he is very clearly different from Pertwee, from the other Baker, and from Davison. So it's a complete contrast to all three of those. And we've gone back to very sort of early years Doctor Who. And he does brilliant. I do actually love this episode. It's a simple story. And I love period pieces. It's Industrial Revolution. And there's Kate O'Mara. She was fantastic.
Yeah.
She was absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, I'll give credit to Anthony Ainley as well, because obviously the Master, obviously he's the main sort of antagonist towards the Doctor in the terms of the Time Lords. So coming in and having another one, that must have been sort of like raining on his parade a bit, but he actually did really well. So yeah, this story, it's not predictable, is it? It keeps you guessing all the way throughout. It sets the questions up, and the Doctor and Perry are always in some form of danger. The action just keeps going. You know those trees? I love those trees. It's one of my favorite bits, actually. But and And this story could have easily done 4 stories, in my opinion, as well, actually, I think. But unfortunately, it was a turbulent time. That didn't happen. It's the way it goes. But yeah, it's just the small things that happen in this story.
I
And
liked
it's
that.
just. It's just a great story. It's my second favorite story, and yeah, go on, Brendan, go on.
No, I was just, I know, because we can flow freely on this, so there's so much to say.
Yeah.
Gary, I mean, I loved the interplay between the Master and the Rani, and the way the Rani would dismiss the 2 male Time Lords as kind of, it's almost like, you boys sort it out, but I just want to do my experiments. She had this lovely practical kind of, and sometimes cold view of things. I didn't really see her parading in the village or anything, but I've listed so many bits of dialogue I loved between them, that just the interplay.
Yeah, about the Rani specifically, I mean, there's a lot of elements about this story I enjoy. But when it comes to the Rani, though, I thought Kate Amara was great. Part of me wishes, I was watching it yesterday, I thought that the Rani is a great character. I almost wish it had just been, and her kind of commentary on the Doctor Master antagonism, I thought, was good, and it was appropriate. I almost kind of wish it had just been her.
Yeah.
Because to have the Master in it, because it's like most of the time he's just kind of wandering around threatening to destroy the Rani serum and just kind of, hiding and, or shrinking and killing random things. I wish, because the idea of having a Time Lord who is really just an amoral scientist, who's not propelled by insanity or, hatred of the Doctor. She just wants to get on with her work, and have the Doctor, physically and philosophically going against someone who, is so immoral. I mean, she disregards humanity, but she's doing it all to get the serum for her own subjects on her own planet. Yeah. So you could argue, well, she's not just, she doesn't treat all of, she treats Earthers as kind of insects and stuff. But I mean, if you take her at her word, she's doing it in order to help her own people. I just think there was a lot there and she was so good in this part. I really wish it had just been her and her versus Colin Baker, just because I think there was a lot of untapped stuff there.
It would have worked. It would have worked, yeah.
Yeah, and Colin and Kate went back to the brothers. They had good chemistry anyway. I mean, they know each other of old. So I think the interplay in this is good anyway. I think it's a good cast, and the interplay is very, very good. And I like the dialogue. I don't know what Eric Saywood's issue was with Pip and Jane Baker.
Well, I mean, I think it might have been because, the word choices that he uses for the Time Lords are all the kind of like flowery multisyllabic language and stuff versus the more, I don't know what you'd call the the English of this time. But I'm glad I had my closed captioning on, for a lot of the villagers talking, because I wouldn't have been able to understand a lot of them. But no, she was great. I thought she was much better here. I liked her in the kind of simplified, not leather outfit, but because obviously her top there is not leather. I actually liked her in this one because I think that she struck me as more of the kind of obsessed scientist, more than when she came back in Time in the Rani. She had like the dynasty outfit on.
Let me show you
with the mile wide shoulder pads and everything. And I thought, I just thought this was
I much prefer the Rani in Mark of the Rani. I think the look, I know it's of its time. I know it's misinformation to say that it was affected by dynasty and that, in the fact she hadn't been in the Colbys or anything at this point. But the hair and everything, I just liked her in this other one.
Yeah.
mind you, why she needed a disguise. The Master does disguises. Why was the Master a scarecrow?
And
Oh,
at this
I don't
point, you know, this is the part. This is kind of the point where I started. It started. I mean, personally, it really started getting annoying that they weren't even bothering to explain how the Master got out of his last.
Yeah,
Because before this, his last story was Planet of Fire, where you thought, okay, that's his final end.
Yeah.
He died.
Well,
And
yeah, he just
they
kind of
don't even
randomly
bother
appears.
anymore. Yeah.
He just randomly appears in this one, doesn't he?
and since we have criticised RTD for doing loose ends badly, I think it's fair point actually, Gary, because it isn't cleared up at all.
It just, well, like I said, it doesn't make me turn off to the story, but it's more kind of like, well, you know, I guess I just have a problem with unresolved things. Can I tell you the one thing that, I mean, Colin was great in this. We'll get into that in a bit. Can I tell you one of the things that I really, really absolutely loved in this was the incidental music. I thought all the incidental music at the beginning, the kind of quiet, almost kind of pastoral music, really set the scene. I thought all the incidental music was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I think on the Blu-ray they talk about this in detail. The whole world building start, and do you know what? I mean, we picked this by fluke, but Empire of Death had just finished. We watched this, and I just thought, you can stuff the Disney money, because actually, when you have it on outside location, it felt as though it was, you know, it was authentic. Yes, you then jumped to a few sets, but I felt as though it was Doctor Who, and I felt as though it had enough money on that. Sorry, Rachel.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree. It's just that when you look at things like humor in the modern series, and then you compare it to one of the funniest bits is when he's on that trolley and he tells Perry to push him, but she pushes him the wrong way and he goes off down the hill, and it's bye. It's so funny. It's obviously it's a terrible situation.
I love Nicola Bryant. I've met her in person at a convention. She's beautiful, and she's a incredibly, you know, nice woman. Perry was absolutely useless in this story.
She was.
Well, Gary,
but they did it so well.
What does the Doctor say to Lord Ravensworth in the final line when they get back in the TARDIS? He said, "What are you doing there?" And he says, "Argue."
Yeah.
No, that was great. No, that's fine. That's good.
Which was true for those two at that time. And then obviously it mellows out, and that was the whole idea that Colin wanted it to mellow out over time.
In this story, though, and I think this is why one of the reasons why I actually prefer this among many of the other Colin televised stories, is because, yeah, Colin is creating his own Doctor, but I can see more of what you think of as doctorish characteristics in this story, as opposed to the other. Like the interplay with Perry obviously is kind of more like, you know, mates kind of jibing each other, as opposed to it veering off into kind of sounding spiteful.
Yeah.
You know, when they really kind of go at each other. But this one here was good.
Yeah. If I interject for a moment, because the thread is, well, thank you for sticking with us, but they're all talking about the Rani's TARDIS, so I'll come to that now because they're
Rani's TARDIS.
I know, I have to say the Rani. I mean, we've got a bit there, but I've got a whole section on the Rani's TARDIS. But you've got Talons of Wrench. I am favorite TARDIS. We've got a good boy. Good to see you. I was just a Gmod the other day exploring the TARDIS modulars. The Rani's TARDIS has a really. I know. I loved it. I loved that central time rotor. Archibald Lazarus loved the Rani TARDIS. It looked gorgeous. It had the gorgeous VHS cover. They're taking the mick out of my diary. Good old Melanie West catching up says, was it Sutek dog poo on the Sixth Doctor's face? Brendan was good at English. I don't know. Calling a bride a pig. My God. I mean, I'm not too sure. How embarrassing. See, not seen this in years. Just got Trial of a Time Lord, but admittedly, Colin was my favorite. The thing is, you know, just watch one of Colin's now compared
Yeah.
to what you've just had a season of, and I think you
Yeah.
might just kind of go for it.
Listen to Big Finish. I don't know if you've
All
listened
of
to
the
Big Finish,
all the
see?
location filming in this was great. I think that this probably, am I wrong, Rachel? You're more of the expert on the Colin Baker era than I am. Did this story have like more location filming than any of his outside filming than
Yeah.
any of his other stories?
He
Because
had
this
2
was almost
doctors.
all outdoors.
He had 2
Yeah.
doctors.
Yeah, 2 Doctors was done a lot on location, and this one, I don't think there was. I
Attack
feel
of
like
the Cybermen.
there was some in the Child of the Time Lord. I feel like
It seemed like
haven't watched it for a long time, though.
except for the Ronnie's TARDIS,
Yeah, Attack
you
of
have
the
you
Cybermen.
have the you have the Stevenson's workshop, you had the bathhouse, and you had the Lord Ravensworth's house. Other than that, everything else was outside, it seemed to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Sereni's asking, I mean, you know, they've had to dig about my English. I know I wasn't an English teacher then. I learned later. John Sweeney, who was the rights of the character, the Rani, as she's not been in? I mean, I would have assumed it was Pip and Jane Baker.
Yeah, they were the ones who introduced her, and they. I think they're okay writers, actually. Actually, there's one thing I will say. This shows that you can do a really good Doctor Who story for Colin Baker with a really good script and a really good director. That director has done a fantastic job with this.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, carry
now,
on.
Rachel, you know.
What did you think, Rachel? What did you think of
One sec,
Perry's
Gary.
outfit in this?
I was going
Fine.
hold on. I was just going to say, Gary, because it's just on my screen on outfits. Neo Gear. Rachel does talk about this. You know, his coat, and of course, when you see him just in a coal mining gear, just to see him pull down a little bit more. How did you feel when you saw something? Because he wanted to be an all black anyway, didn't he?
It looks better. It does look better, even in I mean, look at that. I think it would have benefited him, actually, because his Doctor is much more brash. It's much more sort of out there and loud. So by putting loud colours on him, you're essentially making him stick out like a sore thumb. Whereas
Yeah.
if you put something like this on him, and he wore this for quite a while in it, didn't he? And it probably made a massive amount of difference, I would have thought. I mean, I obviously was too young to have watched this at the time, so I wouldn't know. But I don't know, Brendan, did you think it made a difference?
Yeah, the only thing that stood out, you see, that shot's a really good shot because of what you can see, but underneath that are 2 very bright yellow trousers. And if you could just get the dark going all the way down, you're on the start to building a character. And sorry, Gary, ask Rachel your question.
No. I was going to ask Rachel a question, but I just want to make an observation for her. I wish what they'd done, and again, it's hindsight retrospective. I would have loved something like the all blue outfit that he wore on the Big Finish covers. I thought that was a beautiful outfit. I kind of wish that had they did, but anyway, that's like, I was just going to ask Rachel what you thought of Perry's outfit in this story.
It was fine. It was very conservative for Perry, I must admit. it was fine. Yeah.
As an actress on location when it's always freezing, she might have been pleased that she could put stuff underneath.
Yeah, I bet, actually. I could imagine that, because she was in shorts and t-shirts and very skimpy stuff quite a lot. I mean, she knew why she was there, but
apparently she'd pulled her neck during the filming of this, so she was in a lot of discomfort. So just does those little things you find out. Archibald Lazarus loves the Master in this. We're going to mention all these. I know he's cat-like in this one. He's sneaking around. I love it. Archibald Lazarus continues. Super story. I agree. The amount of deaths, I loved it.
Yeah.
You know what? You watch a whole season of Shooty and go and watch any of these, especially the Colin Baker era, and you get loads of deaths. It's brilliant. Watched it this afternoon. His Doctor is spot on. The writing of the Rani dismissing the Master as a fool is sparkling.
It's brilliant.
And the way he's not trusting of her either, because you know when he waited in the bathhouse and she runs around the corner and then he grabs to get, because he knew she'd have tricks up her sleeve. I loved all that. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I actually think that this is quite a toned down version of the Master.
Really?
I think so. I wondered if he pulled it back a bit so that Kate O'Mara could have her time to shine.
Well, that
He
must
can't,
have.
he can't have been too pleased about it, but at the same time, he is an actor, so he was probably quite respectful in that sense.
Yeah.
I just thought he was a bit pulled back.
Well, as Barry says, he was totally unnecessary. Now, I did go off the point slightly because our friends in the thread had been talking about the TARDIS, the Rani TARDIS. I tell you what, I love that design. I know I was one of those when I watched Saturday Superstore and John Nathan Turner mentioned the chameleon circuit might be fixed, and I was going off it. No, you can't do it. And of course, Attack of the Cybermen, it was a big organ and all the rest of it, and I was like, no, but. That is a slick TARDIS for the Rani. The way it flashed along the sides rather than having a light on top, loved it.
And it's a modified but not completely dissimilar design to the War Games TARDISes, which are basically just that. And you have to think that the Rani's not going to care about disguising her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she's focused on her science. She's focused on her experiments. She doesn't really care about that the TARDIS needs to look like, you know, a police box or a rubber duck or anything like that. So you think that it's going to look like most just regular basic TARDISes look like.
And it had a real kind of, I mean, I'm not doing interior design of TARDISes, but it did seem to be interior designed. It just seemed to, whoa. And it was interesting because up to this point, the Doctor's interior had always been white, which we've always been going on about, go back to classic, blah, blah, blah. But this off-white, this grey seemed to work and serve it well.
Yeah.
It did, yeah, and it fit her and it fit her personality. Clearly, they sort of perhaps built that with and designed that with Kate O'Mara in mind, because I believe Pip and Jane chose her, if I've got that correct.
I think so, yes.
So yeah, so they it's quite possible that they may have sort of like worked around that, and then obviously the costume was designed specifically for her as well, wasn't it? So
yeah,
look at that.
Oh no, I remember when you saw it and you thought, oh my God, they've spent more money on her TARDIS than the Doctor's. And actually, I liked the black TARDIS of the Master in Planet of Fire, you know, when you got the black TARDIS. And I always thought it always looked better than the white TARDIS because they were always battered and bruised. And so grey and black, they always just looked as though they'd had some more money spent on them. So I was kind of envious for the Doctor, really. But and these in the jars.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Especially at the end when I never knew what they were saying at the time when they went blah, 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 and they were pressed against the walls. Did you know what they were saying at the time? I never knew.
It was something about time spillage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Closed captioning is very handy for this story. That's how I watched it yesterday.
So you know, there's a first element of the roundup. So I mean, what was grabbing you? What moments? Because I have to say, I found it sequence after sequence. You know, you've got the classic landmines in Redfern Dell. Before then, you've got some deceit going on between the two Time Lords. The Doctor nearly dies a few times. There's so many perils all the way through that they lay loads of traps. Pip and Jane Baker.
Yeah, it's all the way through. It's just one of my notes. Yeah, you know, there's always something going on. They're always in danger in some way. They get separated in some way, then they're back together, then they get separated again. It's backwards and forwards, and they just kept it going, and that's difficult to do. And there was no, like, obviously they had their chat moments, but it was a few minutes spent to chat, and then they're back off again, back into action.
I mean, I can see a default, Gary. You know, when you had Time in the Rani, you also had lots of geniuses all being collected. And in this one, the geniuses are about to be all meet.
Yeah, you know, that's the one element that after it's over, I kind of wished, and I don't know, I guess logistically, maybe they wanted to keep the cast small. But for all that, I mean, I presume the Master is there because he wanted to, you know, interrupt. It was kind of like a King's Demons plot where he wanted to kind of, you know, mess up the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And once he realizes the Rani is there, he basically kind of wants to help mind control everybody. So he's kind of shifting his plans as he goes. I'm kind of sorry, though, that, for all the talk about this historic meeting of all the scientists, we only saw Stevenson, which to me, if you would have kind of maybe had some of the guys arrive or whatever, it would have kind of like then kind of firmed up the extent of the threat, if you know what I mean. It's like it would have made it more real if we would have seen the scientists gradually, start to show up, because after a certain point for me, it's like, okay, well, you're talking about all the scientists showing up, when are they going to show up?
Yeah.
And then at the end, the doctor, who really has talked about, well, he's excited to, stay for the convention and see all these people, at the end, it's like, okay, well, let's go, Perry. I'm no longer interested in the convention. But I just kind of wish that we'd actually had more of the geniuses there.
I mean, it was a good cast, though, Rachel, wasn't it? I thought that, you've got, I've forgotten his name now. I haven't got the slide up.
Terrence Alexander.
Yes. I mean, he'd been in Bergerac and loads of stuff, and he's really good.
Actually, I got to say, I'm sorry to interrupt. Since the last time I saw this, I'd actually started watching Bergerac. I've kind of got through the first season. So when I saw him, it didn't register on me years ago when I first saw it, but I thought, oh, okay, that's the guy from Bergerac.
Have you got to Louise Jameson yet?
No, I haven't got. I know she's later.
Yeah. So Darko24, good to see you. The Master really could have done with his appearances being scaled down in the 80s. Well, isn't this ever thus with Doctor Who villains? They overuse them. They did a bit with that with the Master of the Unit, I think. There isn't really a need for him to be in Davison's era beyond the 5 Doctors and maybe Castrovalva. And yeah, I know what John Nathan Turner was trying to do, but yeah, I know. PB props. Hello. Who's to say what order in the timeline these characters meet each other? They do pilot time machines after all. May I say, Gary, when you saw the TARDIS being shoved down the mine shaft, did you feel sorry for Sutek?
I think they're probably going to come out with special versions of all the stories. And they'll add, like in this one, they'll add the sound effect of like, oh, like him howling as the thing falls down the mine shaft. They'll do like special Sutek modified versions of all the stories, and that's how they'll get people to buy the whole series again.
I tell you what, I bet you've been tempted on your stream, have you, Rachel, to actually look at all 217 Doctor Who stories that have now been retconned and look at each one where the TARDIS might have the... Because I'm thinking, on my stream yesterday, I mentioned really Castrovalva, Logopolis, just a few, because I wanted a life.
Oh, yeah. I think I'll get through Doctors 1 to 3, okay? It's when we get to 4 that the problem might begin.
I always thought, when would Sutek want to get off? I mean, the creature from the pit I mentioned yesterday, and the TARDIS breaks and then they've got that star coming at them. When does Sutek think, I'm going to get off now? I mean...
I'll tell you when Sutek wants to get off. When they land on New Earth and he gets off to chase all the cat nuns.
What about the wolf in Tooth and Claw?
Yeah, what about it?
There could have been that. I think if that wolf got free, would have weed on the TARDIS. Nobody would know why.
What happened to Sutek? We're not going to. If we go down the Sutek, we'll never get off. I mean, when the TARDIS blew up in the crack, and got, it's like, I guess, boy, that Sutek, he's pretty resilient. He can even survive the TARDIS blowing up.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is immortal. He is a Titan, after all, that burns up in a vortex.
So anyway, this is the snag with that nonsense that we've just had on Saturday, which is you look at a classic and you're suddenly in the back of your head going, oh, that's just gone down a lift. Mind you, the one thing I did think when I saw at the end of the story, when everything's sorted out and, we got some decent labourers and miners to take the TARDIS all the way back up. And it sounded like the Peladonian miners again. Has Doctor Who got an issue with miners who have to lumber these TARDISes up mountainsides and pits?
But surely it can't be a bottomless pit. I mean, it was deep, but it wasn't bottomless. I mean, they were kind of... Really? Well...
No. I mean, But I mean, God, it'd be heavy, surely. Mind you,
Yeah.
the TARDIS is always getting lumbered on the back of lorries and everything, isn't it? It's been carried the most. Right, let's have a look. Just to catch up with the thread, that's I loved the actor who played the tree. He was so convincing. Well,
We
I
have to
have
talk about the trees later.
I have to say, Gary, Gary Cady? I was of a certain age, and I think I started to realize something about myself at about this point. That's all I will say.
I actually thought that the guy who played the tree was kind of wooden.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Perry didn't want to stick with him because he wanted to settle down and put down roots. But that was
okay. All right,
So,
Rachel, what's your tree pun?
I don't have one.
She's gonna leave it alone.
Yes, I'm royalty. I don't make.
That's right.
Yeah.
She doesn't indulge in this kind of common pun.
No.
Brendan.
what would you say? Like PB Props is saying here, Pip and Jane, but no one knows how to get hold of their estate. That is why the Rani's not been in the show of late. But every Doctor Who fan in the latest series, is it Mrs. Flood's the Rani? Is Susan's Ruby Sunday's Mamma? Everybody's saying the Rani, the Rani. Do you think we're missing a trick that you just can't bring the Rani back?
Well, wait, hang on a minute. Have Pip and Jane's estate got the rights to
I was
the
going to
Rani?
say it's not like a Terry Nation thing,
isn't it? Isn't it the BBC that would have the rights to the Rani?
Yes, that's what I would have thought. I just think they shouldn't bring it back because, I mean, Kate O'Mara, rest in peace. But I mean, she kind of defined that character. They should just leave it.
Yeah. And since you've been talking about the tree, there he is. I mean, it was such a caring gesture. Didn't Colin Baker have a line saying the tree's friendly or the tree won't harm you? And
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Only in Doctor Who can you have dialogue saying the tree won't harm you. It's like, oh, well, yeah, thanks, Doctor. Any other great nuggets of information?
What did you think about the scene where the branch kind of reaches down?
No, hated it. And I think I've got the slide where Pip and Jane Baker took all responsibility, and they said that they didn't realize the budget would be this tight, so they're taking it on the chin because obviously it's pantomime.
Do you know what it made me think of? This bit, and it always does. Excuse me. Is the Wizard of Oz where Dorothy gets captured by the tree?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what made it think of. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me out of the moment. I must admit that bit. You think, oh, what a shame. Nathan Legg, good to see you. The Sixth Doctor needs more credit than he's often given. Well, Rachel will be front of the queue to say this. More so, Colin, as a man himself, for his willingness to live and breathe the role so positively, despite how they treated him.
Agree.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yep, totally agree with that one. You can come again. Paul Richards. As a child at the time, I didn't mind the loud costume. Loved the Rani's TARDIS. Impressive.
There you go. And you know what? That's at the end of the day, that's the point.
Yeah. And Peter Harrington's agreeing with, I think, me and everybody. I loved that central time rotor thing. It was slick. Very, very, very slick. To me, it just felt as though this was an expensive show. To me.
Yeah. For sure.
I mean, it was, I don't know why they didn't have this woman direct again. I mean, I thought she did a terrific job directing. I mean, she handled the location filming well. The costumes were great. The music, as I said, was fantastic. She got good performances out of all the cast. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, that's basically doing everything that a director needs to do. I don't understand why they never had her back.
Yeah. Oh, Peter Harrington's mentioning, I mean, we had the giant maggots in the Green Death. We didn't need the giant maggots. We had them tiny little maggots. I loved all this little tin of maggots. It was like they were fishermen or something. Don't you have a little maggot? And there were loads of lovely little touches. I loved the Rani with her little pretending she's got a coffin fit and then throws some stuff. Oh, there was so much trickery pokery going on. I absolutely loved it. You never knew what was going to happen next.
Oh, I got something. So apparently Big Finish can't actually confirm whether or not the BBC have the rights to the Rani. They think it might have actually gone to the UK government.
Oh.
Now,
Presumably, I wouldn't take that at its word, but that's what that says. So
I know that it was, what was the company, Brendan, that did, just as the wilderness years were getting started, there was that series of audios. I think
Oh,
they did not it wasn't the, I guess it was like The Stranger, but then they did, no, it was the series of audios where a few of them had Sylvester and Stoffe playing different characters, but then there was like a Zygons one,
yeah.
and there was a Ronnie one there. You know what I mean? It was like, I can't remember the company that put those out, but it was kind of like fan-esque audios. There was like a series of like 20 of them.
Yeah.
see, I
And
didn't.
one of them had the BBV. There you go. Thank you. And they had our BBV, and one of those was about the Ronnie, I think. I don't know if it was Kate Amara, but the character of the Ronnie, I think, was in one of them, unless I'm just totally
Yeah, it's not
out of
come
it.
to mind, and I'm sure somebody.
Oh, there you go.
Go on.
Sadako, the Ronnie Weeps the Wild Whirlwind, I guess, was one of them there.
Well, yeah. So I'm just catching up with it as we move on. See, it would have been better that the TARDIS bumped back into him when Donna spilled her coffee. Oh God. You see, we're trying to do therapy, and we're still it's going to take a while, isn't it?
I would have loved Kate O'Mara to come back, even when they brought her back in Time in the Ronnie. I would have loved to see Kate O'Mara come back and face like the season 25 Sylvester or the season 26 Sylvester, once he'd settled into his role as the master manipulator. I would have loved to have seen her come back during that part of his era.
Yeah. I'm interested in PB Props saying, you've had to deal for 20 years with BBC Enterprises. The BBC do not own every character that's appeared in the show, and you seem to think it's with the estate as well. It is because fandom is going. The Rani's going to come back. The Rani's going to come back, and you're thinking, I don't know how sure you can be about that.
You see,
Colin-
this is why I've been like, yeah, it could be, but I don't know because I don't know where the rights are.
Yeah,
So.
Colin Baker's Doctor is my second favorite Doctor. He still complains about the costume, but I maintain that if they'd toned down everything else, the coat would have been fine. Yeah, it's a bit like we argue with Shooty. You can't have this, and this all at once. Tone everything down, establish the character, and then build from that. You need to build.
Wait, she came back in. I don't know why I didn't think of it. She came back in Dimensions in Time, didn't she? I mean, I know that's not canon. Yes, please don't. I get it. But still, if there'd been a problem, they probably wouldn't have been able to have her come back even for something like Dimensions in Time.
It's going to be perplexing until we actually see what's happened. What are your favorite bits from this? I mean, because it was a two-parter, but good old meaty 45-minuters. I mean, which part did you prefer? Because we've been arguing about Legend of Ruby Sunday versus Empire of Death. Part 1 or part 2 of the Mark of the Rani? What got you? Was it the world building, the bathhouse, the setup? The cliffhanger was, of course, him. He was about to get shut down.
Absolute brilliant cliffhanger. Brilliant because it was also funny as well.
Yeah. It's the way that I think it's in the second part when he actually is back on the blooming thing again, and those fellas didn't like him, did they? And so basically, when they've got him again, and he says, "Oh, hello, gentlemen, thank you. Can you just help me?" And then when he realizes they're going to get him again, Perry, stay back, stay back. Stay back. I think he was ad-libbing then, and he was adding a few more stay backs, I think. But I thought there were loads of lovely touches of humor. I like the digs between the Rani, the Master, and the Doctor. There were so many. I mean, I've got them all listed here somewhere. But yeah, Gary, favorite moments in it?
Well, one of them would absolutely have to be, as Rachel has said, Perry doing the whole like not that way, and it's like you just go, Perry, what is the point of you? I did like I like the way, which you can't do now. What I mean now, I mean really in any of New Who, where you kind of have like the slow pace of the setup.
Yeah.
You don't have to power through with like 2 or 3 establishing shots and then you're into the plot. especially the first episode is just so like leisurely paced while they're setting everything up and establishing the location of the characters. I miss that.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I always prefer classic to new.
What do you think of Sadako's point here? I think my favorite was when the Doctor forces the Rani to walk into the minefield
and
threatens the Master next.
Yeah, because you think if any doctor's going to be able to do that and maybe be unsure whether or not he really will do it, it would be Colin's doctor.
Yeah.
I do like Colin's righteous indignation of this when he is starting to kind of debate the philosophy or the morality with the Rani. Like I said, I so wish there'd been more of that, because I thought that was great. I did like, because now that I've experienced him in Bergerac, I did like Terrence Alexander's character. And something that was just funny to me, that, you know, this idea of all these workers just I'm not mocking the story with this. I'm not. I just thought it just struck me as funny, as like when these people come up and they're blocking the road with the guy who's transporting the machinery, you know, and they tromp up to the stage. They're going like, and they pull the thing off the coach, and then they're practically like kicking the machine, and then they're going, and then they run off. I just thought, well, they're just like randomly kind of like, you know, being the Incredible Hulk, you know, around the village, you know, with all the things, just going, yeah, let's go bust something else. I just thought that was pretty funny. And it did not pass my attention that at the end of it, you still have all these violent prone men running around the town as the Doctor Imperial leave. It's like, okay.
I liked some of the accent. I mean, you know, I'm not a Geordie, but it's up my way. But some of the Geordie accents, and when the reason I liked it was that you had the BBC represented by people like the Master. Hello, I'd like you to do this, and all very RP. And then you've got hold firm. Oh, who are you? And I love this. Basically, the Northeast was taking the mick out of the BBC. I just loved this kind of mismatch.
Yeah, it was fun. You had
all the RP actors from London, all kind of, hello, you know, I'd like you to carry me along here, and then who are you? And it was just, I loved it. Absolutely loved all that nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, I was challenged at midday today because I said there were loads of Northeastern accents in the 1980s TV, and I was going, was there? I mean, we had When the Boat Comes In, but I never watched that. I mean, The Likely Lads was the 70s, but that's half an hour. We had Off Wiedersehen Pet in the early 80s. But I don't recall a Northeast accent being on the TV all the time. I mean, unlike like EastEnders all the time. So yes, the 3 Renegade Time Lords, I still think is a gift for this story. I know our argument about the Rani could have had her own story, but at the time, I just loved. There was so many different things going on. So
I did love, my last point, I did love how Ainley could immediately turn any situation to his advantage. Like, the guy's charging up to him like, oh, and he goes, oh, it's not me you want, it's that guy over there. And he instantly convinces them to do whatever he wants. I like that.
Melanie Weston Investigates, thank you. Soldier, I never really watched it at the time, but I appreciate, yes, there were Northern accents in that. Rachel, Mad Mackham says, can you imagine RTD's take on the history of the Luddites? Oh, yes, I can imagine. I hadn't really done the Luddites at school, I'll be honest with you. So actually, this was quite educational for me, seeing this kind of interplay. But yes, I thank God he can't touch this era.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, stay away from it. Don't retcon any of it. Leave it alone.
So when you were watching it again, you were texting me the other night when you started watching it again. Yeah. But where was the lovely moment for you? You're an actress as well. What moments were you going, oh, I like this. This is cool.
Well, after I got over the instantaneous relief of actually seeing an alien and the Doctor being the Doctor, right. Well, it's the world building. The world building is very good. That's with the director, she very much made sure of that, and that's so important. And the director directed the actors extremely well. You can tell that they had direction in this. But sometimes you can tell when they haven't had enough direction. If maybe that's just me being able to see that. Or still into the cliffhanger. The other way. Push. No, the other way.
There are certain moments in Doctor Who, aren't there? I mean,
it's just like you can be, but it just shows you can be funny in Doctor Who without it being, you know, stupid. And this wasn't stupid. It was he was in a terrible situation that he needed to get out of, but Perry accidentally makes it worse, and he's in even more danger because she did it. Now, she didn't obviously mean to do it, but you know, that's just it's the way people do that.
In the days when actors did stunts. Now, Connor's point here, this is the, I mean, this is awful. You do classic Doctor Who and you can't help but think, can you? So Connor Medlin, I always thought when they revealed Missy as the Master, it undermined the Rani's character because her main role in the show is to be a female Time Lord. And I was thinking this when I was watching this. You see, this is it's infected you watching of classic Who, because as I was watching, I was thinking, she's a female Time Lord. That's well established. She's not going to, you know, some people are saying the Valiant might come back as a woman. No, the Rani's a female Time Lord. Romana is a female Time Lord. You're not going to get Romana coming back as a bloke from Bury. No, stop it. So this gender fluidity has just poisoned the whole agenda in Doctor Who. Can't stand it. So,
she would have been good in the Davison era because Davison didn't really have too many female villains. So
yeah,
she would have been a good adversary for Davison too.
Yeah. I think well, Doctor Who doesn't have too many female villains anyway, so it's always good when you do actually get one.
And I can do a debate on whether the Rani versus the Missy, but that's for another day.
I think Rani would win.
Yeah. Right. Okay, then let's change tone. Let's go for it. Oh, what could we be talking about? There's never much on this subject ever, is there? You know, what is this to say about the ratings? Well, I'm not going to do what Rachel's done and I've done previously because people will be bored of talking about the same old stuff now, and there's streams out there to go and watch. So let's do a new version. Yes, I'll show you the same old blooming thing just to start us off. I did find it, just as a by the by, that Rogue didn't jump. I mean, Rogue did not jump up much, did it? It was already up to almost 3.2. It just went up by 300,000, whereas Legend of the Ruby Sunday jumped by 450,000. Rogue's limped over the line, luckily having had a bit of a bump at the beginning. How anybody can challenge me on Brendan, the ratings didn't crash. And you had the specials on top. Come on, dear me.
Yeah.
Any final little words? You've probably said them on your channel, Rachel, but is there anything out of there that, you know, needs saying?
Well, no, I think it just shows what people thought of Rogue the week before. I don't know if it will increase next week. I don't think it will be any more than 4 million for sure. And I'm wondering if they'll blame it because people went to the cinema. Other than that, they haven't got the Radio Times have been saying it's averaging 4 million viewers.
Yes. Oh, yes. They said so. You've mentioned the cinema, and I know we've talked not on, you know, we've texted about this. You've no doubt talked about it. I haven't seen yet, but yes, this is just one fact that we might as well just kind of address, because you've mentioned the cinema. The UK box office numbers for the Doctor Who finale were 364,000 compared to, in 2013, 1.8 million for Day of the Doctor. I've heard the Not Wheeze, Gary, say that there's the difference in timing though. One was near midnight and one's kind of, you know, early evening when you take the kids.
Well, I mean, to paraphrase Yoda, the coping is strong with this one. So the thing about it is, and I saw this and I was thinking about this when Rachel showed this on her stream she was talking about. So I'm going to assume that the average ticket price for this was around £10, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say £10, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. Let's go with 10. So that would mean that 36,000 people, roughly, bought a ticket, right? And so now people are saying that the reason that there was a difference in hundreds of thousands or millions or whatever the finale numbers need to be. At the most, you had 36,000 people who bought a ticket, and yet people are going to say that made the critical difference in whatever final numbers are going to, it's like, please, you're talking about a drop in the bucket when it comes to the number of hundreds of thousands and millions of viewers. So anybody that, comes up and goes, but the theater, it's like, look at the number. It's like that's absurd.
And as Peter Harrington agrees, the prices now are much higher. So there's that. John Sweeney, those figures are horrendous for Doctor Who, just like the storylines and looks. You see, the thing is, in the end, the people who argue back at us, and Melanie Weston Investigates said you had an argument on Twitter about this and the specials. Right. Audience appreciation figures. Oh no, they've hidden them. Overnights they don't like anymore, so they do the consolidated. The consolidated's not special when you compare it to the past. You then look at the cinema ticket price, box office. That doesn't work. You look at the reviews. I mean, hello, tell me the measure that this is a success. I'm not seeing it.
No, they keep moving. As we were talking a little bit before the show, they've gone from now apparently focusing on, touting what the 30 and under numbers now. Now they're moving the goalposts to 35 and under. I mean, and I have read, so I can't tell, not read, I mean, I've seen and scanned so many articles in the last few days on Facebook or Radio Times or shill sites like Collider or Screen Rant explaining the finale. Mrs. Flood explained, Ruby's mom explained how Sutek survived all these years, explained. If I had $1 for every explained article I've read in the last few days, and my only thought is, if you have to spend that much time explaining various aspects of the finale, that means you failed.
Yep.
In basic storytelling.
Yep.
Yep.
That was 73 yards as well.
Yep. Yeah. If I show you this, I know you like this line graph, Gary, but I've added a little bit.
I was fascinated.
I've used special effects. You'll see I've drawn on it. But you can see where I've drawn in it. Tiny little red and green. The red is the consolidated and the green are the overnights and it's the range for the season 1. And so you can see the whole perspective, how low it's gone. Actually, if you really look at it, and I have followed it accurately, if you see that very steep purple line of Jodie, actually the two eyes are actually really just in line. The descent has not been addressed at all by RTD, the great destroyer of Doctor Who. Not at all. And so, when I can learn how to do line graphs properly, Gary, it's off the scale.
After I asked both of you the question on Sunday, now that we've seen this whole season, what does that do to your opinion of Jodie's first season? And I'm starting to wonder now, after the show is over, I started to think, I wonder if this whole thing is just like a massive master plan by RTD to raise the opinion of his buddy Chris's era. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to go out, they're going to expecting me to produce magic. I'm going to go out and make something that's so cringe and so bad that people will start reassessing the other era and thinking that it was a lot better. I think maybe
almost like a sabotage to the series itself, knowing that it's a possibility it's on thin ice and just trying to make Chibs look better.
Well, that's his. You never know.
You never know. He's very meta at the moment. What about this, Gary and Rachel and Thread? What about this? Don't know if you saw this, Rachel, on the Radio Times. The BBC defends Doctor Who ratings as the show is top drama for under 35s. I'll go big screen so you can see it. So, the broadcaster also noted that the first episode of the season, Space Babies, has already been watched by 6 million, and it's growing as much as their nappies are. While the future of Doctor Who is already confirmed in the short term, yeah, where's the good news? It's not there yet. Beyond that, things are currently less certain. This is because the show's fate is in its current form rests with Disney Plus. Yes, watch my stream about this.
I said it last week. They can spin and spin and spin and spin as much as they want to. It's not going to make these episodes a single bit better.
No. And my stream on Monday, you can see there, is talking about the ratings and the Disney bargaining position. If RTD was to come back to save the BBC and Doctor Who and to strengthen their hand, he's just done the very opposite. So not only does Disney distribute the series internationally, it also helps to finance it, meaning that while the show should continue without the streamer, its budget may be slashed, which RTD said is fine. The question of the show's future following what has been described as season 14's underwhelming ratings was raised recently in the Times. And now the BBC has weighed in, and a spokeswoman, I thought you had to say spokesperson nowadays, but they can't get it right, can they? Overnight ratings no longer provide an accurate picture of all those who watch drama in an on-demand world. This season of Doctor Who premiered on iPlayer nearly 24 hours before broadcast, and episode 1 has already been viewed by nearly 6 million people. Doctor Who remains one of the most watched programs on iPlayer and is the BBC's top drama for under 35s this year, making it one of the biggest programs for the demographic across all streamers and broadcasters.
They'll be going for the 5-year viewing figure next.
And Empire of Death was the #1 rated show that aired in a month beginning with J on a day that ends in 5.
And they've just added, this is the last screen, RTD added, in coming back, I wanted to make it simpler and I wanted to make it younger. Those two things are often not discussed. You read reactions to it and people are missing that. Oh, I'm sorry, RTD. It's simpler and younger and it's working. The under 16s and the 16 to 34 audience as well is massive. I tell you what, on this screen, and I'm sure on yours, Rachel, we've got the stats. It's not doing that well in the ratings, but it's doing phenomenally well with the younger audience. So there you go. Can you take all your streams down now, Rachel, please? Inaccurate. Sorry, baby. Sorry, honey.
Wait, so for the last...
just admit it?
So for the last 60 years, the show was too complicated for young people, and it was because they wanted to make it simpler and younger, which means then he must think that up until now it was too complicated and kids couldn't enjoy it. But wow, Russell, that's okay. You go with that, Russell. Good luck.
That's a low blow though, because you need to present things to children that's just above their heads so that they can actually work it out for themselves. Even cartoons do that.
Yeah, Genesis of the Daleks is my go-to that I keep telling you about. It pitched above me. I got the adventure. It pitched above me. Brilliant. It pays off. Osishi, Shaw, 33, agrees with you, Gary. You're echoing the same thing I did this morning. International deconstruction of the brand's popularity. People aren't buying it in the thread. I can see a lot of you. This is cherry.
They're never. I think it's already clear, whether it's RTD or the BBC or Disney, they are never, ever going to admit that this was, a creative stumble or a creative failure or however you want to describe it. They will never admit that this went wrong.
Yeah.
They started stumbling with Chibnall when he retconned the regeneration cycle and made the timeless child, and it just went out of control from there.
Yeah. They've they've really doubled down on it, and
Mm.
nobody I can see yet in the thread, and we like to kind of have a nice kind of perspective, is saying that they're buying any of this twaddle. Melanie Weston
I don't buy it.
investigates. What he means is it is no longer a family show. It is for 17 to 35-year-olds. So I'm out with his words. Should be on at 9 p.m. with Rogue. And yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Let's
should
talk.
be
Let's
after the
talk.
watershed. Yeah.
Let's talk about Rogue in relation to what RTD just said. So Rogue and everything that everything that we saw that Shooty, I'm not going to say the doctor, everything that Shooty did in that episode, which was being basically kind of like a gay sex hound for that episode, that's Russell's idea of going simpler and younger. I mean, because it has to be, because he just said it. I wanted to go simpler and younger. So that's his idea of going younger. All right. Well, that's disturbing.
And I never thought the 17 to 35 market were heavily into Bridgerton.
Nor did I. And I will say this, if we're going for younger, then maybe actually get someone who has kids so that they can write to that level when it's simpler.
Yeah. And Rachel, shall we add to that? You're going for the 17 to 35 market, so you insult them in Dot and Bubble.
Yeah. I mean, that's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah. You slag them off.
Yeah.
He's coping and he's spinning and he's desperate. He's probably, there's been meetings. I'm sure there's been meetings, and he is just trying to, it's like basically he's doing Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House. It's all fine. All is well. All is well. That's
No.
Well, just as a quick reminder, we're getting pressing that button. I've noticed, I'm keeping an eye. Target 900, if you don't mind, everybody. We're like Rachel, we're streaming night and day, really. But please, now I ain't finished on this ratings audience reception. I'm going to ask a quick quiz question of you two. If you've seen the article, don't cheat. How very dare you? Are you ready? So Gary and Rachel and Thread.
Yes.
Only join in, everybody in the thread, if you haven't seen the article. The Radio Times did a survey, and they asked their readers what was the best of the 8 episodes. Which one do you think it was?
73 Yards or Rogue.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be, well, wait a minute. Oh, no, it's going to be either the Jinx Monsoon one or Rogue.
Yeah, what's a thread thinking? I'll give you a second. As I'm giving you a second, what do you think the British public that the Radio Times bothered asking? They're not.
Can we talk about that Radio Times logo at the top of that?
Well, it's Pride Month, which turns into Pride Year, and I'm a gay man. I'm sick of it. There's our scores, so we should be saying it's going to be Legend of Ruby Sunday. But of course, you're not all responsible for all the panelists' views. But according to our stats, it should be Legend of Ruby Sunday. And by the way, Hugh pointed this out to me and was quite handy. I forgot in my boasting about Sutek my prediction. Look at the sarcophagus behind. I did that before the season started, and there was a deliberate reason, and I forgot Pyramids of Mars was there all along. Right.
Oh,
so double gloat.
Very good.
73 yards, Rachel.
Okay.
I hadn't seen the article, by the way.
Well, here's the voting. There you go.
Oh, okay. Boom came in at second. That's surprising.
Look at Rogue.
Yeah, I'm not surprised Rogue's so high up on the list.
Yeah, but there's a big division between 2 and 3. That's interesting.
Yeah, huge.
Space Babies, that's got nearly 6 million, has only got 37 votes. So I find, come on, there's a discrepancy here. Just take a look at that. You can do your percentages and blah, blah, blah. It's nearly got 6 million. I mean, they're going to keep quadrant away.
I'm really surprised that the Ruby Sunday one isn't higher because that got such good reviews for the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I'm not the bottom 3 don't. Well, I guess I said Devil's Court before, but I guess people are more intelligent than I give them credit for, that they voted it low.
Yeah. Well, see, you spotted it. You said 73 yards. Over the Overseer said Devil's Court, as it's the most woke. And you were playing a nice cynical game there. I see. Rob said Legend of Ruby Sunday, which is actually what our collective view had been. Melanie Weston Investigate said spot and bubble. Peter Hampton, 73 yards. Melanie Weston, yeah, okay. Dot and bubble, sorry, mistype.
That should tell them something, though, by looking at that. They would rather watch 73 yards, a Dr. Light episode
Yeah, I know.
in this case, and have the Doctor in peril with Boom than any of the others, theoretically.
Yeah. Is that why they're spinning so madly for Space Babies? It's like, oh yeah, give us another year, it'll be great. Because they know that according to this, nobody liked it, and so that's the one they're focusing all the numbers on. About, oh no, Space Babies is really, really great.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't worry about it. Battlefield's up to 50 million in my book anyway. I'm just doing my own numbers now.
It is that silly game, isn't it? I mean, yeah, if I see one of my recent streams is doing a little bit more limping along than other ones, I give it another advert. Yeah, that's what they're doing, Gary. Exactly, isn't it? Right. This is our kind of toilet stop, everybody. Just have a little mini break. Oh my God, you've got to come back though. You've got to rush back. Obviously, wash your hands and everything, but come back because we're doing the best and the worst of the Chris Eccleston 9th Doctor period. And of course, I have to say, just like with this Colin Baker story, when you look back on it, you do start to go, do you know what? I feel good about the Chris Eccleston era comparing to where we are now. And I picked the 9th Doctor era as a discussion tonight because that was the relaunch. And then the relaunch we've just had, what a massive difference. So we're going to have the Who Pets. I've been asked about these Who Pets. I tell you what, these Who Pets have gone down well. People want me to do a stream with them and everything, but they made a parody of Empire of Death. In the first couple of minutes, it's just RTD, me, of course, RTD showing off and everything. But then you will get some special effects in that. So it just gives our panel a chance to sort themselves out, me to sort myself out. So basically, come back, Chris Eccleston. What was your best? What was your worst? There's some interesting choices. Now, Hugh would have been on tonight, so I've still got his votes. So we'll do that. But I'll see you in 5, everybody. See you in 5. Hello, my name's RTD, and my job is to write for Doctor Who. I'm a super fan. So, do you know what? I'm so prolific. Oh, every time I look at something, that iron, for example, that iron. Oh, what's the smoking? That iron. I think it could be a cleaner from Paradise Towers. Do you know, I'm stimulated by everything. Stimulated, darling. Now, excuse me, I can't talk anymore. I've got to finish the season finale, Empire of Death. It sounds amazing, darling. Oh, I'm prolific. Oh, I stay up till 2 in the morning. Oh, this will be good. We at Bad Wolf are so proud of our representation. Just look at Rose. She can use an iPhone. She can use a tablet even when she's under attack. Absolutely amazing representation. A gay kiss in Doctor Who. Amazing. Hey, we don't want your sort in Doctor Who. White, male, stale, old, classic, Whovian dinosaur. Be off with you. You are banished from Doctor Who. Go and touch grass. Clear off. I've got a script to write. Season 3, darling. Season 3. Oh, this is going to be amazing. Mrs. Flood's going to be the Doctor's mum. Oh.
Mr. RTD.
Yes.
Terribly sorry to disturb you and all that.
Try not to break the fourth wall, son. But, you know, that's for Mrs. Flood. Yep.
You know, as Blinks.
Yes.
Marvellous character.
Yes, by me. Invented by me. Yes.
Could you just give me some sort of backstory or motivation for my character?
It's all in my head, and I'll tell you on Unleashed, but I have to say, I'm not going to get too bothered about telling you the details because it's all for the mind, and you should be lucky enough that I've got diverse representation covered in a metallic outfit. You should be so grateful. Anyway, I'm very busy. I've got to get typing. I've got to finish an episode.
Mr. RTD, I'll just have one more question for you.
Yes, hurry up, hurry up.
Grace.
I've got to do season 5. Come on.
Sorry, Your Majesty. Yes, in 73 yards.
Yes.
Why?
Very good episode. Welsh folk horror, yes.
Oh, brilliant. Why does everybody run away from that old lady? Can you explain that, Mr. RTD?
Listen, I don't take questions. I'm not having questions from you. I'm RTD. RTD, I say. I've got no time. I haven't got time to explain my plot. I'm too busy writing it. And talking to you now, ignorant as you are, full of questioning, I've got another idea for a plot. I'm often asked about ending season finales and